Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Happiness Journey with Dr. Dan podcast, where every journey is worth living. My name is Dr. Dan, and I'm your host for today's episode. I'm a bilingual cognitive behavior psychotherapist specializing in anger management issues, both court-appointed and private, marriage counseling using the EFT method, dissociative disorders, narcissistic personality disorders, depression, anxiety, dream analysis, and also provide life, business, and retirement coaching support. I provide individual one-on-one sessions in both French or English, and also do group settings. If you need any assistance, reach out to DMV Therapy and Coaching Services at 301-325-1550, and our website can be found at lifecoachddanamzallag.com. Today, I'm very excited to have for our fifth episode of season 12, a very special guest and happiness mentor, Karyn S. And just like every of my past episodes, I will leave it up to the guests to properly introduce themselves, as no one can do a better job. Karyn, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me today, Dan. It's really good to be here. I'm Karyn S, the happiness mentor, and really my personal journey to get to a place of being the happiness mentor tells the story best. I was about 26 when I really started seeking a deeper meaning and purpose in life, and my journey started with therapy, which then led to a lot of spiritual seeking in different methods such as shamanism, Reiki and energy work, yoga, meditation. And about 7 years into this journey of practicing those things personally to try to heal, to try to find happiness, meaning, and purpose, also training in all of these modalities and having my own healing practice, I got to a point about age 31 where I still felt very disconnected from myself, nowhere closer to knowing who I was, and still feeling really empty and unfulfilled in my life. And from that place, I actually met my mentors who taught me a whole new path of really looking within myself for my answers and learning to build a relationship with myself by finding my meaning and purpose in me and through my choices and decisions in life to grow and learn. And that set me on a whole new path of what I do with clients and what I do in my own life that looks very different than my years of spiritual seeking. And that's what's led me to where I am today as the happiness mentor.
Wow, that's one hell of a journey, we would say. Now, before age 26, were you going through some kind of life challenge that brought you to wanting to find that spiritual calling, as you would say, age 31? What really triggered you to decide that something is off and I need to find my purpose?
Well, I was a very rebellious teenager. I was very defiant, very obstinate towards my parents growing up. And that bled into my 20s of heavy drug use, unhealthy relationships with men. And I often put it in hindsight, what I can see is that I was very addicted to self-destruction, that I had no sense of value in myself, no sense of worth in who I am. So I constantly made choices in my life that diminished me and was really on a path to destroy myself. And a more traditional method of understanding one's life and what happened to put you in this position, I have a different view on it, that it wasn't my past or my parents or my upbringing that led me to this place of self-destruction in my teens and my 20s, that it's really my humanness and what I teach other people, our humanness of looking to our external world to define us, looking to our external world to give us a sense of meaning and purpose about who we are, that leads to our human experience of being empty on the inside, because we're grabbing to our relationships, to the people, to the things in our lives to fill us up, and they can't. And what ends up happening is we put all of our value outside of us and we have no internal self-value. So it's like we're a bucket with holes in it.
Yes.
And all of our actions, everything we do, everything just leaks right out. And in that emptiness and in that lack of self-value and feeling good about who we actually begin to hate ourselves. You know, it's a strong word, but we begin to hate ourselves and not feel good about who we are, which then drives our choices towards self-destruction and acting out in our lives, showing ourselves that we don't value ourselves. And that was my journey, took that shape and form through drugs and, like I said, unhealthy relationships with men, running from my life, never following through. And that's what led me then to this place of seeking a deeper meaning and purpose and looking for something meaningful in my life. I just didn't know that it was going to be me that I was searching for, and that me that was going to add that meaningful experience to myself and my life, that I actually needed to learn to connect with myself.
So is it about giving other people importance in their words, their opinion, and absorbing the negativity and allowing ourselves to be able to let this negativity to linger inside our mind that hinders our own personal progress in life? Something that you would say that it's about just paying too much attention of what the other people think about us?
Well, I think it's a little deeper than that, not just paying attention to what people think of us, but actually at a much deeper fundamental level in our humanness, and unknowingly we go through life morphing ourselves into who we think we need to be to get approval, to get acceptance, to feel that we belong. And it's really wired in our humanness and how the human mind works, that that's our dynamic as humans. It doesn't make us wrong or bad. It's a human condition happening underneath the surface that, until I had context for, to be able to see in myself, I was just going to live out that pattern of morphing and shaping myself into who I thought I needed to be to get what I needed from my external world, whether that was my relationships or different roles and responsibilities, from my marriage, from my job, from all the spiritual work I was doing. That gave me a huge identity and temporarily filled that void, but it didn't work to help me find that wholeness and fulfillment in me.
Now, do you feel that the majority of human, as you said, if it's really ingrained into our DNA, where people are seeking validation to be able to find happiness from within, which is not really the right place to do so, then other people will sense that this individual is seeking their approval or their, like I said, validation. So do you think that someone never, I mean, not someone, but the majority of people always depend on how other people perceive them, and this is the reason why they cannot find happiness? Always,
Well, sure. How I like to say it, Dan, is it's our our fundamental nature as humans to be in the pursuit of happiness, to be in that pursuit of finding in life what is going to make us feel good about ourselves, to feel that we have meaning and purpose, and in our very pursuit of happiness, to check the boxes in life, whether that's, you know, going to college and getting a degree, starting our career and climbing the corporate ladder, or climbing the ladder of promotions and achievements and accolades, to getting married, to having children, to making the money we want to make. Everything we do in our lives of wanting what we don't have, or wanting what we think will then fill our lives and make us happy, that's the very trap of why we are unhappy. Because deep down, I believe that we all know as humans that no one and no thing can make us happy. Yet we're all stuck in this trap of looking to the people, the things, the experiences, the achievements to make us happy, and they can't. So we have to recognize and start to see that trap that we are in and understand that is our unhappiness. How I define unhappy isn't depressed or sad or a feeling of being miserable or even empty. Those are all symptoms of being unhappy.
Mhm.
But how I define unhappy is I always want what I don't have. That's what it is to be unhappy, because we feel that void, that empty bucket or cup with holes in it, and we're constantly trying to fill it. But we're trying to fill it with things and people outside of us that can't fill that emptiness, can't fill what we're searching for. And so we have to recognize that we're unhappy. That's the experience of looking outside of ourselves. And when we can see that, that's when we can make the bridge to start to learn how to look within, how to look to ourselves to become our meaning and purpose and find our sense of value in who we are. And we don't have to give up the people and things in our lives or the things we want to experience. What we're giving up is deriving that meaning and purpose, that value from those relationships, which then actually allows those relationships to be healthy. Because you said, can people feel it? Can people feel when someone is pulling at them to get that need met, to get that emptiness met? And I believe and have experienced it myself, and being human and knowing people can feel that from me. And I've also felt it from others once I had the context around it. But I believe at some level, whether it's conscious or unconscious, we feel that in our relationships.
Mhm.
We
Correct.
right? We feel when someone is looking to us to be their purpose, to give them a sense of meaning in their lives. And when we're living from that place, and I had to see this about myself, unconsciously, we can be quite manipulative and controlling and don't show up in a healthy way for ourselves or for the relationship. So then we really don't feel good about who we are because we're not in integrity and we're not living from a place of character in ourselves. And that's what makes the relationship unhealthy. So when I can let go of getting my meaning and purpose from the relationship and learn to find it in me, which is what I teach and what I live in my own life, it actually heals the relationship with other people, because now I don't need them to be something for me. I can begin to accept them for who they are, and have the relationship there to grow and learn, but not need something from it to fill me, and give me something that I can't provide to myself.
So here's the caveat, Karen. The thing is that if you ask anyone, tell me what will make you happy,
Mhm,
everyone will just kind of look at you like a deer in the headlight. They just
mhm,
don't know. And those who say, well, I would love to be able to have money, but yet when they have the money, they feel that the happiness has not been reached, or
mhm,
any material assets, or even like a healthy lifestyle. Still at this point, they're always going to seek something. They're always going to think, what is next?
mhm,
What else do I need to do to be able to
mhm,
achieve the things that I have yet not achieved? Even though in the beginning, when you ask them the first question about what will make you happy, and if they say it's about having a mansion by the ocean,
mhm,
they do get it. It's
mhm,
still, they will not be happy at this point. So why is at this point happiness is unachievable? It
mhm,
seems like it's a cycle, a treadmill that you run in or run on, and faster you run, and faster the universe is pressing the speed button to be able for you to always to get to a point where you get exhausted. So how can you let our listeners know what should they accept or what should they expect from
mhm,
their pursuit of happiness, as you
mhm,
mentioned?
mhm. That from the angle that we pursue happiness, Dan, like you just shared, of the things that we think will make us happy, we must accept that in in that pursuit, that definition of happiness, of looking for it in the things and people outside of us, is unachievable. That is, no one and no thing will ever make you happy. Happiness does not come to you. from the people and things in your life. That happiness really is, and of course, I didn't coin this phrase, but it says it really well. Happiness is an inside job. And in order to start, one, I want the listeners to know happiness is achievable. We must define and understand what happiness actually is in order to cultivate it and live it in our lives. So I define happiness just as I define unhappy as always wanting what I don't have. We have to redefine happiness from what it is to be happy, and that happiness isn't a feeling. In my spiritual seeking, in my spiritual journey, I wanted happiness to be the blissed out feeling that I was constantly trying to achieve in all the things I was doing. It was that feeling I would have after a great yoga class, but it would only last for maybe 30 minutes or an hour. And then boom, life hits and that feeling goes away. So that's not sustainable. It's not reality, because life brings us curveballs. It brings the unexpected. There's all kinds of ups and downs that we go through as humans. And if we think that being happy is feeling happy all the time, we're going to be gravely disappointed, because that's not sustainable. It is not realistic. So how I define what it is to be happy is actually a deep acceptance of who we are and the lives that we have, that we've created through our choices and decisions. So very simply put, how that sounds, happiness is I only want to be me, and I only want the life that I have, not because of the things that I have and the life that I have, but because I'm connected to myself. And when I'm happy, that experience of lack and want dissolves, because I'm connected to myself and I'm on a journey. What I have discovered, what leads us to that place of having that deep acceptance and fulfillment internally, is really embracing the journey of self-actualization.
Okay.
To actually embrace making conscious choices and decisions in your life to grow and learn. It's what I have found. It's really taking the curveballs. It's taking the obstacles and running into them as opposed to running away, to be able to grow and learn about who I am and build my character and integrity as a person. And that's what builds that internal self-value of feeling good about myself. That's where I get to know who I am, and I'm growing into the best version of myself, which some people might say, well, wow, that journey sounds really selfish. It's just all about you. But being the best version of ourselves benefits everybody.
That's so true.
Right? Because when I'm trying to be somebody to get something from my relationships to fill me, I'm not being the best version of myself. Nobody is. But when I'm in it for me, to grow and learn and become the best version of myself and build my character and integrity, everybody, including myself, benefits from that.
Absolutely. But then when you look at people who have dealt with childhood trauma or other, difficult experience, even yourself, you said that when you were teen and all that, how can they overcome those difficult moments and those triggers that occur on a regular basis, where they always doubt themselves? They always feel that either they do not deserve to be happy, or because of all the life curveball that comes at them, they are so fed up and so exhausted of having to dodge them constantly. So how can you reboot subconscious mind to be able to kind of allow yourself to start from from the beginning and not bring the past into the present, start living mindfully, and whatever comes into the future is basically adopting a stoic life, which is what you can or can't control, instead of wasting too much energy on the things that are going to come no matter what. How do you adapt to it?
Yeah, we have to choose the perspective of life that we want to live by. In my personal experience and also the people that I work with, I was on a journey previously to look into the challenges, what I would have called traumas growing up, to my parents, to my upbringing, and my past, and use those to explain why I struggled in my adulthood, or why I struggled to find happiness or to solve the problems in my life. And that kept me very, very stuck, because I can't change the past. I can't change my upbringing. I can't change my parents. And looking at it from that lens, while well-meaning, kept me going around in circles. So I had to choose, and for those listening, we have a choice in which perspective we want to live life by. And I had to choose a different perspective. I was living in the perspective of I am a product of my circumstances and life experiences. And that wasn't working for me. And I was fortunate to be introduced to another perspective, which is I am the product of my choices and decisions. And maybe I haven't chosen everything that's happened to me in my life that were out of my control, but I always have a choice in my response and how I want to deal and respond to those experiences, to grow and learn, or to use them to hold me back.
Okay.
I chose this one, and we all have that choice, and have myself overcome very difficult past experiences by seeing them as a gift in my life to grow and learn from. There's a book that I love called The Little Soul and the Sun. And it's a beautiful life perspective, no matter what your beliefs are in God or not. But the story is that a little soul goes to God and wants to come into human life to learn about forgiveness. And God, I'm simplifying the story big time, but God says, you're going to need somebody to forgive. And another little soul raises their hand and says, I'll go, I'll give you someone to forgive. And the little soul says, I'm going to have to do something so horrible to give you something to learn forgiveness from. So you might have to remind me who I am. And the basis of the story is that we can look at the people who have hurt us the most in life, and the challenges and hardships, and we can blame them and give them our power, or we can see them as gifts from God to become and build the strength of who we need to become who we want to be in our lives. That I firmly believe, no matter what our past is, no matter what the challenge is, we all have a choice in who we are and who we become, especially as adults. And if I see those things as things I need to dodge, I'm always going to feel like life is a struggle and against me, or God is against me. But if I can use them as a way to grow and learn, and to see the gifts and have them shape me into the person I'm meant to be, then there's no way to be a victim. There's no way to live in the experience of blame, because it all becomes part of my life and what I need to create myself and create the life that I want. And that's what I live in my life, and what I teach others to do. And it's truly is a path of self-actualization and making conscious choices in life to really grow and learn.
Do you feel that you had or you needed to forgive someone to be able to grow after
Mm.
31? Did you have to forgive your parents, or your parents had to forgive you for putting them through challenges and
Yeah.
all the difficulties? So did you have something that blocked you, that got you stuck in a
Yeah.
vortex where
Yeah.
you try to be able to get out, but then again the cycle just drags you back in, and it didn't really let you out until some kind of enlightenment? And what
Mm-hmm.
was the enlightenment?
Thank you. Great question. Yeah, the vortex that was keeping me stuck was blaming and using my past as the reason why I was so stuck. I was a victim. And when I use the term victim, I mean, victim mentality of giving my power and control away to the people and things in my life that I have no control over. And that was the vortex I was stuck in. And what I have learned in the enlightenment, and there was an enlightenment moment, or what the word I would use, awakening, was I am the problem in my life.
Mhm.
And therefore, I am empowered to be the solution. So once I take responsibility, then there is no need to forgive anyone.
Okay.
Instead, it's from the perspective I just shared of finding the gifts in life and growing and learning from them. Instead, it becomes thank you for giving me the opportunity to grow and learn about myself and become stronger in myself and know myself more. And not just an affirmation to say, but to actually live that and truly grow from the experiences we have in life, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And I love what you said. Did your parents have to forgive you? And as I began to stop blaming my parents and get out of that vortex, I've had some lovely conversations and feel very fortunate for that with my mom and dad. For me, for myself, to be able to apologize for some of the things that I did put them through. That was me being stubborn and obstinate and not a reflection of who they were as parents. They weren't perfect. Nobody is, but my parents are good people. And I know they did the best that they could with what they had. And it's felt really good. I've felt really good about myself to be able to apologize and express gratitude to my parents for who they are and what I've learned from them along the way, their gifts as parents and also the mistakes that they made. So it's a really freeing experience to take responsibility. It's not a hard pill to swallow. It's not difficult. It makes life so much simpler. And that's what I really want people to know.
Well, that is really actually a very incredible story you got there, Karyn. And the thing is that a lot of people that that come to me, and either they go through depression, some anxiety, or any other illnesses that they deal with. And the thing is that it's always asking for, well, how how do I get there, or what should I do, or what
Mm.
is the step by step? Is there like a happiness for dummies kind of book
Mhm.
where where they can actually work on finding a quick solution? So if you had to tell our listeners, and this is to be able to conclude this podcast,
Mhm.
even like a 5-step where
Mhm.
they could utilize your advice and start to put it into practice, is there
Mhm.
something that you want to share with that?
Sure.
Go ahead.
The best thing, the first step is to normalize your experience of life, to not to diminish it or to take away the significance of the things that you've been through or the challenges you've had, but to look around and see the different experiences everybody has, which is a normal part of life. Maybe you've gone through a lot of loss, or maybe you've had really destructive, challenging relationships with your parents or family members, or you've lost your job, or you are in a financial struggle. So look around and recognize that's part of the human experience, that those are the challenges we all go through. And when we can normalize our experience instead of making it very unique and big to who we are, we can actually have emotional intelligence around it and see it for what it is. And it pops the bubble so it's not too overwhelming. So normalizing is step one. I would say step two is making that shift to want to be in your life to grow and learn and to create meaning and value in yourself.
Mhm.
And one of the best ways to do that is to learn how to put yourself first, not in a selfish way, but to re-engage of making time for yourself, to make yourself important and a priority by doing things you really love and enjoy. And what that does is begins to build internal self-value. And those are the things that I'd say are the best place to start.
Beautiful. Well, listeners, you've heard Karyn. If you're looking for more information about how to find Karyn, so by the way, how can people find you, Karyn,
Mm-hmm.
of like they want to seek your services?
Sure. So my website is a happinesscourse.com,
Okay.
and I teach a 10-week roadmap to happiness that is transformative and unlike anything else out there. So I would love the opportunity to talk about that with you. And also, if you would like my free masterclass on the definitive guide to happiness, then please email me at info@karynsites.com or reach out to me through my website, and I'd be happy to send that to you.
Beautiful. And also, we're going to put your social media channel inside the description of the podcast. So if anyone wants to be able to access your services, they will be able to do so, because especially that your name, Karyn, is Karyn, not
Correct.
So that's really important. But on that note, that is all the time that we have for today's podcast. And also do appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us. And thank you again, Karyn, for participating and inspiring our many listeners with your incredible story. Now, we hope that you've all enjoyed today's episode. And I'm also very excited about the many upcoming guests that we have scheduled for season 12 of the Happiness Journey podcast, filled with inspirational stories, just like the one that you're listening to today. Now, here are some concluding words of wisdom. Happiness is always a byproduct. It is probably a matter of temperament, and for anything I know, it may be glandular. But it is not something that can be demanded from life. And if you're not happy, you had better stop worrying about it and see what treasures you can pluck from your own brand of unhappiness. Now, to enjoy good health, to bring true happiness to oneself, or to bring peace to all, one must first discipline and control one's own mind. If any human can control their mind, they can find a way to enlightenment. And all wisdom and virtue will naturally come too easy to them. The secret of happiness is freedom, and the secret of freedom is courage. So stay courageous. My name is Dr. Dan Amzallag, and you may all keep pursuing your amazing journey in life.